Hello, IK here. Welcome to Action Creator Where's Thunk function. We have in this video analyzed this in two applications, React Redux. Both application is React Redux application. One is Thunk 1 and other is 454. Okay, let's go. This is Thunk. This is store of Thunk1 function. And in Thunk1, we have only one reducer, post reducer. We have a blog post, and in array post, we have every blog post. And here it is. Name of that reducer is post array. It is array. And the post reducer is a value, and coming from post reducer import from post slice. This is Thunk 1. This is data is on remote mock server here. And 454 is here. There is post users, comments, replies one. There is a 5 reducer. And look at naming rules, used rules, common used rules for naming reducer. Post, name of state, and reducer. Always we have a reducer, but first word is name of state. State is post, users, comments, replies. Here you see why name slice, because is one reducer, but there is a 5 slice, or we have one state, but in that one state, like properties, is post, users, comments, replies one, etc. But for this analyze, we use only this post reducer, and all is the same for all other. It is practically copy paste, and we only change its name and variable inside. Okay, it is 454. This React Redux application has data in a memory of our computer. Because of that, we will not see nothing when we open this application, because every time when we switch on application, we have deleted data in memory of our computers. Because of that, we created the initial value for this 454, this initial value with, for example, I'm here created 2 posts in initial value. Okay, let's see 2 post reducer, post slice of this post slice, post list, post slice. Here it is. In post slice, it is post slice is a reducer, is post reducer, and reducer must have initial state, and that initial state can be all practically all value in real would be empty, would be empty. But now here we have two initial state with the data, concretely data, first post, hello, etc. And the second post, content, etc. And when we open application, we will see that two posts. It is here, and and after that we can add, delete, update other other posts, and okay, it is here. Post slice. Here is uh, here is post slice. It is component where create slice coming with the Redux toolkit, last version of Redux. That function create slice. Every function what begin with create, name said what that function does. That function creates something. Here, create slice, create reducer, and reducer. Okay, what is name of reducer? Post. Reducer here, or all about reducer, declaration of reducer. Here is in curly brackets, and it is object who descript, who declare reducer. Reducer is function, but here is a define of that function. It is object. That object defined that function reducer, and the name of reducer, our reducer would be post, comma. Object means that properties name, column. Every properties in object have columns on the end, and after that value. Here properties name of this description, object who descript reducer post, name is post. Name is post. Second, in the and the background software used it, that word post, that name post, used in naming reducer. We don't need name post reducer. It will does create slice in background, and it would be visible in store post reducer. But here in post slice, we have a name of reducer, and down, for example, we have export default post slice dot reducer, and declarative programming, and means don't type, the developers don't need type what declarative programming can type in background. And that word reducer and name post would be created post reducer name in store. Here is second properties is initial state. Here it is variable initial state. You see how we in object create members of that object. Here is name column value. Here is value. Here is a variable of value. Uh, Initial state. Initial state. Our initial state is to post hard embedded hard typing, and always would be visible after refresh. Initial state. And now start reducers. Reducers, there is a reducers, how many features, how many functionality, how many possible action we can do on user interface. For example, we can post edit. There is a form for post edit, and it will be one reducer, but it changes element that our operation changes input and output of reducer. A reducer is for mutate by immutable way state. And what would be initial, what would be, why we have different state, why we have changed state? Because of adding new post, delete post, update post. And here it is post edit is a reducer, and in curly brackets here we have declared that reducer, post edit reducer. It is reducer. Every reducer there is a function with two input, state and action. And here it is very clear, right code, state and action. What would be at first in initial opening? What would be state? Would be initial state. What would be we see here in this concrete situation, we see initial state, and that initial state means that it is output, that is state in output. This state in curly brackets, we declare what we have in output, and what and always and that output state is always a copy input state. Input state is copy of output state, and it means that initial state is this. In curly brackets, we declare future new. We declare new state, but here in input is actual state. Actual state. And that actual state is here also, actual state. And to actual state, we will push action payload. And action payload is what we write in add post form, title and content, and ID, title and content. It is payload. It is new post. And that action payload, the new post, would be push. Here it is push to actual state. Here is actual state. Actual state. But Eimer, here is a comment. Eimer handles immutable, immutability, immutability here. Eimer handles immutability. Eimer library. Eimer library is news coming with the Redux toolkit. It means that Eimer library take care in background that this our coding would not be directly to actual state. This is actual state. Would not be directly, but IMER library create a copy of actual state. It means initial, concretely, this moment, actual state, and push that actual state, push action payload. Push payload is ID, title, content, what we write in form and what we dispatch to store, to reducer. And we dispatch uh, uh, that ID, title, and content to, at first, we dispatch title and content to remote mock server. Mock server with own software update existing post on the server. And after that, in response data, if all is okay, response data, send back to our browser, send back ID title content, because mock server, it is a job of a server to add ID every post. And with ID, title and content, receive response data, and response data would be opened by a promise object, and that that we payload. It is action payload, and that payload would be pushed to actual state. But action object, there is one more properties. It is called action type. Action type. Action object, there is properties action type. It is string. Concretely here, it is post edit. Would be action type. For simplicity, why create new name separate for this when we can use post edit also as string, as value of type, action type. And here is object action with two properties, action type, post edit, and action payload, action.type and action.payload. Two properties is in action object. Properties action type means what to do with actual state and the payload. And payload is always what coming from payload is always what we created, our action. We add post, we delete post, we update post, or we read post. That for functionality in acronym CRUD, create, read, update, delete. Okay, payload is always what we dispatch to server, and what server send back to in API communication, send back in response, object response properties data, or response.data. And that payload always uh, 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 always is in a role with the actual state. Here is a push payload, action payload is pushed to actual state, and it means that actual state, initial state, it is two post. Now after this would be three post, three post. Uh, okay, here post added. Uh, Here is right in curly brackets, and it is again post added is a function. It is a reducer, but we must define it, and that definition of reducer is in curly brackets. Is object with that object we define post added. Post added and what to write for a name because we need two members for a description post edit. First, a member we call reducer, and it is function reducer, state action, state it's a neutral function reducer. It is keyword, and it is very clear. Okay, post edit is reducer. Look at post edit. It is in curly brackets. It is a value, object value, and the first member is reducer. It is a reducer. And the reducer, there is two input, state and action. And in the body of function reducer, we have new new state. New state would be actual state, push action payload, new state. And when we look at, we have reducer, every reducer have two input, state action, and one output. Maybe because of that we call it reducer. Reducer, two input, one output, it is reducing. This process of get smaller. And state and action, and here it is output, output, state in output, where we can write it like directly mutation changes of state, because in background we have IMER library who take care that we push to copy of state, actual state, and don't touch actual state. And the second members of this defining description of this object where we describe post edit reducer. Second is keyword prepare, and it is a function what create. It is defining definition what would be created for every new post, for every added new post. We added in our form only title, content, user ID. We dispatch it, but every time when we push button save post, these three go to server, mock server, update server software update post and create ID. Response data have ID, title, content, user ID. It would be always when we push save button, save post, but it is but in return here we see in the body of function, we return uh, uh, all that title, content, user ID. It means return like new post. What we see on the screen, we will see on the screen if we want to see complete post. It means that we will have ID. Look at here, ID, and it is in payload. In payload, but now I look at here, and because we have not mock server didn't, because there is a no in this application mock server. We push, we dispatch title, content, user ID in our memory of our computer, but it is not enough. We must dispatch ID also, because it is ID is a unique value, and we need it for map and filter and everything. Everything action in some list need unique value for every post, and because of that, payload would be payload would be. I apologize when I spoke about mock server. I said, no, here there is no mock server. All this go to memory, and return what would be, it is in parameter, but all what go to memory is in here in body. Return is what go to memory. Memory is database, but memory, there is no option functionality would have database. What we send in memory, we have in memory, and we must return all about post. It means all payload. Payload would be in curly brackets ID nanoid function coming with the Redux toolkit last version coming this function, and that function every time give random value with a lot of characters, places, and would be very, very rare that we have two ID in any combination. It would be rare, impossible in our life to see two values same. ID equal that function, and every time it would be new. New value of that, and in that payload would be date, would be title, content, and user ID from parameter, what we type in form, reactions, and you see here is something what we type, title, content, and from user coming only ID, from user table, and all other is automatically. Reactions, date, ID, it is automatically with reactions with zero input, and it's all. Okay, it's all about post edit. And very, very confused story, because this post edit, we call it reducer. It is reducer. We call it action creator. We call it action type. And it would be. All that is a role of that. Post edit here it is right like properties. but it is also action creator. It can be coded like action creator, but here is a better because there is a two members, reducer and prepare, define. Uh, here is better to use code like properties. But for other reducer reaction added, we declare it not like properties, but how reaction added like function, like function, concretely function reducer. Again, state and action, and all in body is about a new state. Reaction, there is six members. It is array with six members, and when we change one of that reactions, would be dispatched reaction that, added, dispatched to memory, and post update is reducer is uh, also would be visible like in Redux pane of window Redux dev tool, would be visible like action type. Post deleted action type, reducer, also state and action is input. And in curly brackets, what we have to output, what would be with state, with what happened to actual state and actual state, and how create a new state. And I'm a library behind scene. Take care that changes would be immutable with copy, not with original actual state. Okay, it is here we have not read fetch post like in when we use Thunk. But before that, I finished the story about this. When we look at in this, uh, when dispatch post added, return object, return action, state always exists. It is actual state. But what new is action is new. And this function post added, dispatch post added, is action creator, what return action. Dispatch, and we can set dispatch action, dispatch post added, action creator. And here is finished, it is last station, action creator, post added, action creator, return action. But let's get see to, and why here there is no read. There is no read because here is let's get see here is state post. We use state here. Look at post list up. We use here is array post. We use here use selector, pardon, not use state. We use use selector, and immediately in initial rendering of post list, use selector C and would give our declaring post, give initial value. It would be to post. Use selector. Use selector. Immediately see initial state, because initial state is created in memory in provider, when we in index provider element, React element with props store, and installation in memory of store means installation initial value for every reducer, and after that coming rendering processing of post list, and the post list in this statement by use selector function received value initial value, and we don't need here fetch post. We don't need go to remote server as we need in Thunk 1, as we need in Thunk 1, where data is in remote mock server. Here it is not in mock server. Data is in memory of our computer, and automatically use selector when we have rendered initial rendered post list. We see the initial state, and we have only initial rendering of post list. We have only one rendering, initial rendering, because of that, because we don't need use effect hook function, use effect. We don't need outside effect, side effect, because all is in synchronized single thread JavaScript program. React and Redux is in our computer with data in our memory of our computer. Okay, because of that, there is no read action creator, like it is in Thunk function. Thunk function, here it is. We have only one post reducer. And okay, let's get C to post slice. Post slice. Here, because we have server, we can, we always, if server is not empty, data is not empty, okay, if empty, we will see empty user interface, and we can add new post. And when we switch off our application and switch on, we will see what we save, because it is on the mock server, remote mock server. And here is not one post, but it is name is post, also name is post. But now it is object. How we know it? We know it here. Object with three properties. With three properties. And posts, here is empty array, and it would be our payload. But this is not payload. It's coming. We need that properties for developer create user interface, but also Redux need it. Redux must know what happened with data in asynchronous process. And because of that function Thunk, because of that middleware, and because of that here it is object. Name of object is post, also properties, name of these properties array is also post. And now we have that Thunk function. We have that Thunk function. And what is difference? We call that fetch post, there is no there, but okay, add new post. We call it with dispatch it coding is the same as is the same. It is dispatch parenthesis add new post parenthesis calling function add new post. Add new post is a new post is action creator also when we see that, but because of this it is different, and difference is that because of create asynchron Thunk we have two action. We have three, but always we have two action of three. We have action pending type, action fulfilled, and action or action rejected type. For every of this action, fetch post is reading for reading. For add fetch post, for add a new post, for handle delete and update post, all it is Thunk because it is created by Thunk function that Thunk function coming with Redux toolkit, last version of Redux. And that Thunk function dispatch two action, not one, like action creator, what we see in application with data in memory. But here we have two action, dispatch two action, dispatch two action. And of course, for every of that action, we have three action possible, but if all is okay, would be pending, always pending, fulfilled if all is okay, if not, would be action type rejected. And here, because it is different from reducers, there is no reducers, but there is extra reducers. It is named for some differences. Extra reducer, there is object builder here, and in body we have builder object and method, add case method. And every add case is one of that type of action, a pending type action, fulfilled type action, and rejected type action. And here is all same like before, but we have what I think in this reducer definition of a reducer, we have reducer state action here, reducer. This is a reducer, always about post. But here there is no action payload. It is pending, we're waiting, pending, and we have only loading here, status changes, but payload, there is no payload, nothing happened with the array. Here we have fulfilled, and we concat that payload. And here is rejected, is about error properties. And again, add new post pending type, nothing. There is only state, there is no action input, but status changes in loading, always pending loading. And developer can Redux know that, and developer know that by use selector go it in a variable in a post list. And every component what is subscribed to global state and post list is only component here was subscribed to global state. And it is all the same, but we have again a reducer. We have type of action. We have state and action. Construction of reducer is the same. Input state action. Output is new state, immutable way, IMER library behind. And it's it. Post is here is object. There is array. Here we need fetch post function, but before in data in memory we don't need fetch post, and it is the most important is okay. Let's get see here add post form. Add post form. Look at dispatch. Add new post. Title and content. It is title and content what we write. We dispatch it. It means in before, when data in memory, when it was action creator, add new post, return action. Return action. What type of action? Add new post type action. But if here it is Thunk, and the Thunk return to this to action, and because of that, because we call one times, here is dispatch calling function add new post. But if it is a return action, it is enough. But if we need two action, one function that return to action, and with some condition, pending, fulfilled, if not error, etc., we need middleware programming. Middleware programming, and that middleware programming, it's a background programming who work for us. We have visible that Thunk function. And only when we look at in post slice, we see difference. We see that this add new post at first would be created with create asynchron Thunk post list, create asynchron Thunk, and that create asynchron Thunk create Thunk function, add new post Thunk function, and with all code in background, that Thunk function does what does. It is wrapped around asynchron request, return promise object, response data go in promise object give it that data to synchronize process again, and it go to add case builder to extra reducer. What go that it is payload. It is payload. It is response data always is payload, but status and error would be created by middleware. It don't need go to through reducer. Payload must go that array post must go through reducer because of immutable way of changes. Error and status are primitive type of data, and primitive primitive type of data never touch original. What it means when we change primitive type of data, directly change, give new value, that actual value stay in memory where stay don't touch, but only reference show on a new value in a new position in memory. It is immutable. It is immutable. And the original state stay untouched, untouched. Don't change it, but create new position in memory, new value, new position, and the reference only show in that new position in memory. But in for array and object, we need immutable way, we need a reducer. And in reducer, we always have action, and action is object with payload. It is, and payload is only what coming from a mock server. Payload is not status and error. Okay. You stay on this part of learning. Stay as long as you need to stay and thinking about that experiment, try, test, and ask artificial intelligence all your interests here. And for example, uh, when we have this construction, dispatch, it is call of function. Dispatch, there is a parenthesis, a dispatch function name, and there is a parenthesis. Inside of parenthesis is parameter, and that parameter cannot go out from it. It is encapsulation, and in that parameter is add new post function with the oven parameter. And that add new post function is encapsulate. It is closed in dispatch function. And what happened in one case, what in other? What happened when add new post is action creator? One action, creator of one action. It return object action. It return action. But and we can set dispatch action or dispatch action creator. Action creator return action. And it happened inside of parentheses, dispatch parentheses. But when add new post is Thunk, it must create two action creator. And every time there is oven dispatch, not this, don't need this dispatch. There is oven dispatch. And you ask, okay, we call add new post like Thunk and create asynchron Thunk function would create Thunk. And that Thunk would resolve inside of this parameter. But that add new post Thunk has oven dispatch function. And it means that add new post Thunk go outside of this parenthesis of dispatch. Get outside. And work by oven one dispatch pending type fulfilled type action and fulfill type action outside of parentheses. And you see about what I think when I coming from PHP and programming where I have all right. It's in PHP in object oriented. You must create object, and you must object must call other object, and after that can have access to method and only method what is public, and call that method. It means object to object and method to method inside of that object. And it is all is clear. But now we have encapsulate what is excellent, very, very elegant, that declarative programming, dispatch add new post. But don't thinking what happened and how they introduce, how they meet, how they connected this that add new post with other two action pending type action fulfilled or rejected. Or rejected. Does it happen inside parameter, and does it go outside and happens outside? It totally doesn't important for us, for me, for developer, but use this elegant coding because a middleware exists, in the background code exists, and how they coding it in background not is important. This dispatch, does it dispatch? Here is dispatch. Dispatch is always method of store, and here dispatch add new post to method of store, dispatch to store, and in store is reducer, dispatch to reducer. But after that, you have two dispatch more. And does it that dispatch this dispatch or oven of Thunk dispatch? It is not important, because about that thinking background coding, and give us possibility of the simplicity like that. And after some practice and deep understanding, you will like React, Redux, Redux. I like this application a lot of this React Redux remote mock server, because it's totally actual. It is totally like life, like application in life work. Remote data, React Redux, because in that simplest crude combination, we learn Redux. And Redux is manager, state manager, but is something without it, I cannot imagine application, React application with a lot of component, and that some of them there is a local state, and the local state there, and local state go down to a lower level, data flow, lower level, and it is very imagine for me without Redux. There is a state manager more other like Redux. I don't know, maybe I heard for some, but Redux is same companies. React one team, Redux second team, Router one team, three team separately work in Meta company, and because of that, I think the Redux is the best for React. For React, and when you deep learning, after this Tank One application, after this understandable knowledge of Tank One, my Tank One application, React Redux, you can go after that and mock server remote. After that, in connection with any database you want, and in that database create any how many you like table, and create any application with relation database, SQL, and also with the NoSQL database also, with this crude, with this knowledge React, Redux, this simplest knowledge, because it is copy paste practically for 90%, 99% component and concept in complicate application. Complicated application, any complication is a lot of simplest possible element. And a lot of simple possible is always complicated. If you don't know, know the simplest element, the simplest element. And it is always like that in every production, anything production, carpenters, machinery, any production, complicated device is more simplest possible element. And you must always find what is simplest possible element when you start learning something. What is simple possible? For example, in writing, we learn letters. One letter is simplest possible in for writing a novel, any novel. Also, for calculate, simplest possible is simplest possible is numbers, etc., etc. Simplest possible. In software, simplest possible is binary system 1 and 0, but it is only one part of production of software. It is important for machine language, but in high language we don't need know about that. Okay, this is simplest possible part of every React Redux application, front-end React Redux application. It's all for this. Thank you for watching this video.